yeah, when it comes to people that just won't engage at all, you're just pissing people off, you know, because we're not even doing jiu-jitsu at that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we're dancing.
Yeah, we're just dancing. We're like, I'm trying to do jiu-jitsu with you, and it's like you're trying not to do jiu-jitsu with me.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah.
But sometimes you said anti-jiu-jitsu can be good. Like your role with Jedi, you said that he used it very well. Yeah,
he did, in the sense that like I was trying to tie up with him, and he didn't want to accept the grips that I was getting. So he'd back up and try to re-engage, but at least he was re-engaging back. Right.
Yeah.
But like some people, they just disengage the whole time. And it's funny. Some like, I always talk about comments that piss me off. And yeah, because it's natural. It's, you know, things can piss you off. Right.
Yeah.
So like, because this one guy was like, oh, anti-jiu-jitsu, like that's bullshit. No such thing as anti-jiu-jitsu or whatever. Yeah. It's like, yeah, there is. And it's not a big deal to like label that, you know, and it's not always a bad thing. It can be if it's excessive, but at the same time, yeah, anti-jiu-jitsu can be a great tool. So, you know, for example, if you're like in a bad position, like on the bottom, you can just work to stand up, or if you almost get in a bad position, just stand up. And that's actually a great tactic, which like Derek Lewis did in the UFC, who's a heavyweight. And, yeah, you can just stand up and then take them down and then just start on your own terms. And when I was in my my match with Cesar, who was like way bigger than me, I had him in his back, and I tried to mount him. And as I did, he took an underhook, and if I would have stayed on the ground, I would have got smashed. So like, I used anti-jiu-jitsu. Why am I going to be on the ground using jiu-jitsu with you? Instead, I got to my knees and I got to my feet, and I consider that 100% anti-jiu-jitsu. And it was strategic. And then what I did was I knee barred him after, and I went back to using jiu-jitsu. But like, you can't really use jiu-jitsu so much in a standing position. Like, yeah, you can, like in the sense of like takedowns, but it's kind of more wrestling. But like jiu-jitsu itself is much harder when the person's standing, right? So I consider that anti-jiu-jitsu.
Would that be, is anti-jiu-jitsu wrestling basically? Or can it be wrestling? You were saying it can be wrestling because when you stood up, you know, you wrestled up, right?
Yeah. Well, actually, wrestlers are the best at using anti-jiu-jitsu because the whole point of their sport is don't get put on their back. Yeah. So what they do is if they get taken down, their immediate reaction is to get to their knees and then to get to their feet, right? They don't need to engage on the ground with the dude. So, man, wrestlers and sambo guys are like that too. Judokas, because you only have so much time to work on the ground. And again, because you don't want to be pinned on your back, the objective is to stand up, right? Which is a great tool, especially in MMA. So like, if you're like a striker, especially, I wouldn't spend all my time learning jiu-jitsu. I would spend the majority of my time learning anti-jiu-jitsu.
Learning how to defend takedowns? Yeah,
well, learning how to defend takedowns. And if you do get taken down, just standing up, you know, just working everything you can to stand up, because as a grappler, like as a grappling MMA fighter myself, the most frustrating people to spar with are those that I take them down and they won't just stay the fuck down. You know what I mean? They just get back up and God damn it, now I got to take them down again. So like over time, I've gotten better at, you know, keeping them down and getting them back down and stuff like that. But I really noticed it's like, this is really frustrating and hard for me to deal with. And, you know, and why is that? It's because it's effective. It's a very good tool to use. So yeah, it's funny when I see, like, I can see it so clearly when I watch the UFC or MMA, like who's good at anti-jiu-jitsu and who's not, because you see some fighters, they get taken down and they just accept being down on the ground. And it's like, that's perfect for the guy that took you down. But then there's people that are they just won't stay down. And it's so frustrating for the grappler, tiring them out, and they're losing confidence. So I'm a big fan of anti-jiu-jitsu as a tool.
Well, a great example of that is Jose Aldo. You take him down and he'd spring up like a cat, but he had like world-class jiu-jitsu. He's won the Mundials, correct? I believe so.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think he has a brown belt, I'm pretty sure. But it's because even if you have good jiu-jitsu, you don't want to be on the bottom. You don't want to have your back on the mat. So if you get taken down, do the wrestling mentality, the sambo mentality. Get to your knees, stand up. Right? Why do you don't have to play in your guard? You don't have to do jiu-jitsu. Like, use jiu-jitsu and MMA when you're on top. You know, don't use it, like, you don't need to use it on the bottom. And another example would be like, you know, you could, if you have your feet in front of the person, you can kick off and stand up. That's anti-jiu-jitsu, right? You're not pulling them into your guard. instead you're being defensive, pushing them away, because in your guard or just in general, in your guard, like you can either pull them closer to you to attack them, or you can push them further away to defend, right? And defending that is going to be, and then standing up is going to be way easier and safer than taking bottom position, having to risk getting punched, all this stuff. Like, man,